broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on episode 74 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I've got Trevor and Damon here with me today. Usual crew, which is great. There was a time there where we didn't have, we had a rotating cast for a while.
I think it was during my house build, right? When I didn't have a house. That was tough.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. But we've had the whole crew here for quite a while, which is great.
Maybe people are getting bored of us.
Maybe we need to spice it up. I mean, we did last week though, right? Last episode we did. Marissa on, so.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
We got a lot of good feedback about that.
Those are always interesting episodes. I learned something. That's always a good thing.
I always learn something when they come on, for sure. But how are you guys doing? What's going on?
I'm just looking at this, wondering why when I asked about Disneyland stuff to go at the end, you stick it right as the first thing. And I just thought to myself, wow, okay.
There is Disneyland stuff at the end, but there's DVC Disneyland stuff. So it's we always start with
DVC stuff first, regardless. I guess that trumps my tiredness. I can understand.
It does. But before we talk about that, I would like to just give an update on my trip and also, just cause this is a weird thing that happened and I want to talk about it. And plus I posted an event in the group, so I want to talk about that too. But before we do that, I just wanted to see how you guys are doing. What's going on?
Playing paintball tomorrow.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just doing trip planning at this point.
Tom's really only 2.5 hours away. He could come play paintball.
I probably could. Yeah, I probably could. I was telling you guys before we started recording, though, that everyone in my house has the flu except for me. I've somehow avoided this. Although the same day that my wife was diagnosed with the flu, I also broke my pinky toe. Which I kicked a door frame accidentally and I broke my pinky toe. So I've been chasing around my 2-year-old.
That's like getting a paper cut, though. Let's be honest.
Oh, it hurts though. I mean, it hurts quite a bit. But I was going to go to the doctor, and I was told that they really can't do anything.
No,
so
it's like getting a paper cut. Suck it.
I was going to say, if you want to get out of taking care of your wife and kid, there's better ways to do it than breaking your limbs.
My toe is currently purple. So it's not a fake injury, but anyway, so I just wanted to update. So I have changed my trip around for April. I think I told everybody here, I'm still going the same week. I'm still going April, 18th to the 25th. But we found out my in-laws wanted to come with us. So we have changed things up a little bit because 4 adults and a baby in one room is not a fun thing to do, in one studio. So I was actually able.
Fair.
Yeah, right. No one wants to do that. We did that when we went to Old Key West, last year, but it was a nightmare because the baby wanted to go to sleep at 7:00 and we're all in one room. So we had to pretend that we were sleeping, turn the lights off and all pretend that we were sleeping at 7:30 at night. So she would go to bed, which was not fun at all. So this time around, we decided, that we were going to upgrade to a 1-bedroom. We actually found that there was, 1-bedrooms available still for that week, which I know that 1-bedrooms are the thing that books up the basically last, for DVC, just because they have usually the same amount of occupancy, as the studio, but are a lot more points, right? So, but in this case, it was I need a separate room. I need a separate room so we have some space so we can, put the baby in the room and she can go to sleep and then we can, hang out in the living room and do whatever. So there was actually, a 1-bedroom available at Animal Kingdom at Kidani, which I feel like I've been staying at Animal Kingdom a lot lately, but there was a 1-bedroom available at Kidani, which was a standard view, which I've always said on the show, why bother going to Animal Kingdom if you're not going to have the Savannah view? We just did the Savannah View room with the 2 bedrooms, so I'm just you know what? It's fine. I'd rather not spend the extra points for the Savannah View. It wasn't available anyway. I'll take a standard view. It's a lot less points. But the decision was, it's almost the same amount of points to do a week at Saratoga in the 1-bedroom and the standard view at Animal Kingdom. But one of the things I realized, and I guess I just never thought about this before because it just wasn't something I don't think about all the room layouts all the time. I noticed that there was only one bathroom in the one bedroom Saratoga, but there's two bathrooms in the one bedroom Kidani. So it's like no brainer, right? It's the same amount of points. Why wouldn't you do the one bedroom at Kidani to have two bathrooms? So that was kind of what my thought process was.
I feel like you almost shouldn't have just said that because because all of a sudden everyone's going to figure out that Kidani one bedrooms are the better choice, right?
What about the new upgraded Saratogas? Are they still one bathroom?
Yeah, I think because I don't think they're changing anything as far as like the layout of the room.
Yeah,
I think they're just changing the decorations, right?
That's why I went two bedroom this time. So
I was just going to say, well, I guess, okay, everybody listening, don't give away Tom's secret because
I don't know if it's a secret per se, but I was not that I was unaware of it. It just didn't really cross my mind. Unless there's two toilets, right? Then it becomes a whole different ball game. So
no, there's two toilets.
That's what I'm saying. So once there's two toilets, it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, these are two like full bathrooms with showers and everything in them. So in my mind, I'm just like, that, why wouldn't I want to do that? Like, no offense to my in-laws, but it's nice to have separate bathrooms, right?
I agree.
So I just thought it was like, that's a no-brainer to me. It's the same amount of points pretty much. It's like 2 or 3 point difference. And no offense to Saratoga, but I like Animal Kingdom a little better, just, for the theming and the animals and my daughter.
Pool's not as nice though.
No, Kidani's got one of the nicer pools.
There's something to be said about Saratoga and having the multiple pools though.
No, I don't.
Plus, it's actually kind of nice to walk over that big bridge too. There's a lot of nice, more walking, I guess, I like over at Saratoga.
The big bridge over to Disney Springs, is that what you're?
No, just the one that's between the main pool and the rest of the resort.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
It's a nice kind of walk around Saratoga. Like, that's kind of the cool thing. Like, my kids, when they decide they want to go to the gym and work out, like, it's kind of a nicer walk. That's all I'd say. I'm kind of Animal Kingdomed out, so.
I don't disagree with you. We were kind of looking forward to staying at Saratoga because we hadn't stayed there before, and we've stayed at Animal Kingdom a lot lately. But
I would agree though with the two bathrooms, especially because it's not again, me and my kids is different than you and the in-laws.
Exactly.
Yeah, that trumps a lot of things.
Absolutely. So just having that second bathroom is so nice.
Yeah. So your meetup.
Yeah, so another weird thing, right? So I had not.
This is a weird thing?
Yeah, this is weird. This is really weird. People are usually fighting over Moonlight Magic reservations, right? It sells out. People get mad every time, right? So I didn't even bother looking into Magic Kingdom because we didn't have anything booked by the time we needed to have it booked for the Magic Kingdom Moonlight Magic on April 21st. And so I just didn't even bother looking. I just assumed it was sold out because those things usually sell out the day of. And I saw somebody post on one of the DVC groups, just booked Moonlight Magic for April 21st for Magic Kingdom. And then they were asking some question and I was like, wait a second. How did they just book it just now? That doesn't make any sense. It should be sold out. So lo and behold, I go on the DVC website and there's still reservations available for the April 21st Moonlight Magic. And I was like, how in the world is this possible? So I go ahead and I register. So now I'm going to Moonlight Magic on the 21st.
That's awesome.
Now, right?
I gotta wonder if, so I guess something people don't really know is that the busy time for DVC is not the same busy time for when Disney itself is busy. So like April is kind of like Easter spring break time, right?
Yeah. So this is like the week after the standard spring break time. In fact, I think I said on the last podcast too, my annual pass comes out of blackout the first day that we're there. So.
Yeah. So I wonder if maybe that is part of the factor into why you were able to get it, is that it's just not a busy time for DVC in general. And I got to wonder, we should have this conversation again when we're approaching October, because, I'm looking to go to the Moonlight Magic event in October. I'm wondering how different it's going to be in terms of people booking it up.
Well, so I think what I was thinking, my thought was that Magic Kingdom just maybe has a higher capacity than the rest. So maybe that's the thought, is they've got more attractions and it's not necessarily bigger, obviously, because, you know, some of the other parks are bigger size wise, but I just thought maybe they have more tickets for Magic Kingdom because there's more attractions. I don't know.
I think it's more to do with just how busy it is.
That's definitely true. The fact that a Moonlight Magic is happening then, I mean, they schedule these things for downtimes, right? I mean, because it's an inconvenience to the regular park guests to just have the park shut down.
Yeah.
So I just was taken aback. I just couldn't believe it was available. So in that vein, we are going to go. I don't know who's going to come with us yet. I don't know how we're going to handle this with my daughter. My daughter's not coming because it doesn't technically start till 10 o'clock, I believe. So that's way past her bedtime. So we're either going to get a babysitter, my in-laws are going to come, or my in-laws, you know, we haven't even really talked to them about this yet. So if my father-in-law who listens to the show is listening, we'll talk about it later, I promise. But we're going to figure that out later. We'll either get a babysitter or whatever and come to it. But, so I put an event out on the page, and on the group for a meetup. So any listeners of the show that are going to be going to this Moonlight Magic, please, RSVP to the event. We're going to meet up at the partner statue at 10 o'clock, right when the event starts. We can go around and ride things together. But, I don't know.
That is if anyone really wants to go.
What's that?
That is if people want to go.
If people want to go, or we could just say hello. You could say hello to me. I can give you a hat and then you can go along your merry way. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. But that's what I've set up. So if you do want to come, please RSVP so we, know that you're going to meet up with us and it should be a lot of fun. I'm excited to meet with some listeners and we've already got a couple people that have RSVP'd. So
that'll be cool.
Awesome.
I think that, since my trip has changed a little bit, I'm trying to contemplate this October meetup. I just don't. Again, so we're going for Thanksgiving now. So again, our plan for October is really more centered around Hollywood Horror Nights. And it's going to be an interesting trip as we, wing down there and kind of come back as quickly as possible so the kids don't miss a lot of school. It's actually soccer season as well as, the kids being in high school. So I don't necessarily think I'm going to make the Friday meetup. I'm going to be down there Saturday. So I just don't know if I'm actually going to, because I was thinking about it. Even if I leave first thing in the morning on Friday, I'd still a 10-hour drive. I just don't think I'm going to be able to meet Friday. So I will be there Saturday though. I know Trevor can't make it Saturday. So we might
fly out on Saturday. So.
It might be a, Trevor, Tom, Damon Tom, but then we're kind of bothering Tom for 2 times, but he's that important that maybe he gets to go to 2 of them.
If people really want to meet me twice, we can make that happen.
but I will be there for Thanksgiving again, and hopefully I get the same Thanksgiving crew.
Oh yeah.
I had fun that time, so hopefully if that's the case. So if you don't get to meet all of us in October, kind of keep that in mind. I've actually had a few people reach out already about October, if you can believe that. So just kind of keep that in mind. We will do our best. I don't see myself being able to take the kids out of school on Friday to be able to leave on Thursday under any sort of circumstance, because we're going to be down there a month later at that point, which they will be missing school for again. I try to limit their missing school days in high school with the semester set up. So
yeah, that totally makes sense.
But here's the question, Trevor, what time are you actually leaving? Not to necessarily meet up with fans, but to maybe maybe we'll swing over. You'll be at Poly, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll swing over in the morning then, just to say what's up.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, cause we fly out in the afternoon, but our bus doesn't leave until like 1 o'clock after 1 o'clock. So yeah, we would definitely have time in the morning to meet up. But yeah, maybe we can do it over at, Polynesian over. So you're not going out of your way, that you're still where you need to be. Right. In terms of getting back. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. So listeners, while, we'd all love to meet all of you, Trevor, Tom, and myself have not been together in one, physical location ever. So we need to make that happen. Yeah.
Regardless.
We'll
Tonga toast breakfast.
Ooh, see, I can get on board with that.
Yeah, we can go up to Kona and get some Tonga toast, and
that's what I'm about.
That would be
there. We go.
There we go. Do a Tonga toast fan meetup.
They're going to need a lot of Tonga toast.
Yeah,
breakfast is welcome home.
I know that Trevor can't necessarily go too far from home base, but again, we could have a secondary meetup. So people that don't want to come or can't come Friday night for whatever reason when they actually get in or they have other plans, that we could maybe meet at the Polynesian to make it easy on Trevor on Saturday.
There you go.
There we go.
Oh.
Giving people options. That's what we do.
Plans are evolving, so stay tuned.
That's true. Yep. We do have a long time. The other thing I do want to mention is that I thought we all did a good job last episode with, our verbal crutches. And, I
think we're getting better.
Maybe.
Trying to.
I think that episode before we were just a little rusty from Christmas, A little
loopy, a little rusty, a little tired,
I'll admit Christmas holidays kind of threw me for a loop.
That was a tough episode to do. Most of the time the episodes are not that difficult, but I felt like, was there a lot of news too? I don't even remember.
I think it was because we missed an episode, or we didn't miss.
It must have been.
We skipped. Yeah, we skipped the weekend.
Yeah, we skipped over the holidays.
But I think the holidays too, we were all like in a rush, right? Once you have family and things like that, it becomes a lot of work. The holidays are a lot of work.
I think everyone's just tired in the beginning of the year too. Even though it's like the holidays and all that, it's just, you just get tired at the end of the year,
And you have no money, that makes you tired too. Having no money makes you tired.
I love my family, but I'm exhausted after Christmas usually. Like it's a lot.
I would agree. And that's the problem I'm having is while I did enjoy Thanksgiving at Disney, it was phenomenal, like a great time. It was like, it made like that time frame. Like I felt like November to January was brutal, right? And that's also very difficult for us because it's in like the midst of swim season and high school sports. And like, it was rough. I was just tired. Not as tired as I am now. I'm very tired today for some reason.
Now that you mention it, when I think back to November as well, because we were there a couple of weeks before you.
Yeah.
We did all the Christmas stuff and then we came back and we had a couple of weeks of, winding down before Christmas holidays. And then we did more Christmas. So by the end, it was like, we had done too much Christmas.
And I had also taken that quick trip to New Jersey as well, which again added some time onto it. I just felt that it was a little bit harder. One thing I will say is going over Thanksgiving definitely made it harder for getting presents for the kids because you're just kind of out of money at that point. So I've already started Christmas shopping for next year because I can. And I think that it was, one of those things that was hard last year. So I'm trying to do a better job at it this year. So we'll see how that works.
You mean you don't start your Christmas shopping in September every year?
Usually I do. I felt like last year. Yeah. I felt like last year I let it get away from me a little bit because we were moving into the new house and a lot of the things, just because you have another home and you're moving, there's still things that you need to buy. Like, I bought a couch, right? Because the other couch just wasn't working for the new layout. So there was a lot of purchases that I made towards the end of the summer that I was still recovering from. So September, while I did have some stuff, I did have the Oculus at that point, but I didn't have a lot of stuff. And I think this year I'm going to, like I said, try to do a better job. Plus, I'm going to tell you something. I'm a huge fan of Brad's deals and Slick deals. And if you can take the time throughout the year to look at those places, it really makes a big difference. I got a full comforter set that was like $300 for $18. You know what I mean? Like, I think that if you can actually do it through the whole year, you can do yourself a good service and then save that money for Disney. There we go.
There you go. Damon's tips and tricks right there.
I really should put together a video. I feel like I should. With the puppet, right? Like, and I could do like a weird tips and tricks where I could talk about, underwear under bathing suits and, maybe we get Jeremy on. He could talk about Croc socks, like a lot of those things.
So I'm still disturbed by that. I don't know.
I really am because
my dreams.
I know how uncomfortable it is. Like if I'm out in the garage and I've purchased now, some Cloud Foam slip-on Adidas, like, cause I feel like they're the best shoe to slip on and off. But if I go out there and I see Crocs, I'm like, I can't stick a socked foot in those things. Like it's like trying to like put on a bathing suit when you're wet. Like, you can't do that. socks and Crocs. I can't get on board with that. I can't.
I do. Go ahead, Trevor.
I'll admit I do actually have a pair of Crocs by the back door when I let the dog out because
that's acceptable. That's acceptable.
I will wear Crocs and socks into the backyard to chase the dog around when I need to.
I can't even do that though. I have the Crocs with the fur in them. Like that's acceptable because like the sock slides into the fur, but the no fur Crocs with socks? Nah.
Yeah, it works. I don't know if I agree about wearing it all day. Like I saw the pictures of Jeremy wearing them and I just think about how much my feet hurt at the end of the day and I just don't feel like Crocs would do it for me.
I don't know. I don't own a pair of Crocs and I've never worn a pair of Crocs, so I have no idea the comfort level, but I know people swear by it. So I don't know.
Have we even started the show yet?
No, not really.
Okay.
Yeah, we're off on a tangent as usual.
Can I mention one thing that I thought was a good, Damon, I think you had posted a thing like, how can we improve the show in 2020? And, you know, one of them was cutting out on the verbal crutches, but somebody else posted something about doing like a DVC tip every week. I think that's something maybe we should start doing. Well, doing like have a tip of the episode.
You already did that, Tom.
Well, we just, Crocs and socks. Is that what we're talking about?
No. We're talking about
if you want a one bedroom with two bathrooms, you go.
Oh, there you go.
Sounds a little dirty though.
What? That's a little dirty.
All right.
But yes, you're right. I did. I accidentally did it. So, but it'd be nice to have it as a regular segment. I think it just remind ourselves to do at least a tip a week.
Okay.
Whatever, David.
I'm not going there with you. I know where you're going, and I'm not going with you.
I'm just going to cut all this out.
I might have to mute myself.
Oh gosh,
we are still PG.
Yes,
that's right.
We kept the PG. All right, so DVC news.
Let's
site plans about that place I don't care about until I take my cross country trip.
Yeah, I was going to say you should care about this because you're going to take a cross country.
It's funny. The kids we did sit down as a family to watch Vacation in preparation for our trip.
Really?
We're not finished with it yet. My guess is that we'll watch because we're recording tonight. We'll watch the rest of it tomorrow. But yes, we are watching Vacation to prep us for the trip.
Do most people know that Wally World was supposed to be Disneyland, but they wouldn't let them use Disneyland because Disneyland never closes? Is that a well-known fact? Or am I just...
I mean, I know that.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't know if everybody knows that.
Well, there's your fun fact of the episode. How about that?
Mm-hmm. Ooh. Look at Tom. 2 for 2.
I'm just throwing facts out like crazy. I posted on one of the Disney groups that I was talking about how Splash Mountain was actually named after that Eisner had suggested naming it Splash Mountain to promote the movie Splash, and this person was like, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's not true." I'm like, "No, it really is true. Look it up."
I really want to know though if we all had to give ourselves, chipmunk persona. Were you guys on board with that? That was actually one of my favorite ones.
The chipmunk. I mean,
Alvin, Simon, and Theodore.
Yeah.
I think I'm obviously Theodore. I
said I was going to take Alvin, right? And then Trevor gets Simon for all his fact finding and data delving. Well,
you're not okay with
listen, you kind of get the default, Trevor. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
Unless you want to be Alvin, but I don't think like I'm the Disney fact finding guy. So
you're the troublemaker, right? So that's
that all fits. What if we were Scooby Doo characters?
We're never going to start this episode. We're just
to DVC news.
Yes. So let's talk about this. There was basically an article out there about the new DVC resort, let's say proposed, because we don't know if this is actually going to happen, at Disneyland, the tower that they're going to build. Some interesting things I thought about this. The picture that they showed is one picture, right? It's just the outside. There's not a lot.
It's a building.
Exactly. It's a building. It's nothing special on the outside. But what I thought was interesting about this was that they're going to lean heavily towards studios. So 271 of the 350 rooms will be studios, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of is a response to the general demand that a lot of DVC members have, right? Is the complaint's always been that there's
Not enough studios.
Yeah, there's not enough studios. And especially somewhere like that, and especially somewhere like that, if they filled it up with 1 and 2 bedrooms, I think they'd really be shooting themselves in the foot.
It makes total sense. They'd have like you said, they would have a ton of extra inventory where obviously they know what their needs are there, right? So, and I think it's smart. I wish they would do even more of that at Disney World, because I think that they need to, and they're starting to do some more of that with like the Tower Studios. And it looks like this is also going to have the 2-person Tower Studios as well, that Riviera has, which is neat. I've said this before. I think that was a great idea, especially for a ton of people go where they're just 2 people and they don't need a ton of space and are okay with that. So I think it's a good idea.
And you also got to keep in mind too, that Disneyland being a much smaller resort, they don't need, I shouldn't say you don't need as much space, but people aren't staying there for extended periods where they want to have a full kitchen and all that kind of stuff. It's more,
good point.
I think the studios kind of suit it a little better. I mean, you still need those bigger spaces for when larger families are traveling, but I mean, the way I look at it is, give me as many studios as possible, because I want to be able to book there and go for like a 3 or 4 day trip. And I don't, like, in 3 or 4 days, I don't need a full kitchen. I don't need laundry. I don't need a lot of that stuff. I just really want, I guess, a hotel room at the end of the day, but not, I don't want to pay rack rate for a hotel room.
Exactly. No, that makes total sense. And that's, I think, what they're going for here. And it makes total sense that they're doing that. So, I'm hoping this happens. We don't know if it's actually going to happen or not, but I do hope it happens.
It seems a little more reasonable than the last rumor that came up, because they're not applying for any of the tax credits that they did last time. Yeah. And also, this building would, it would be another tower added to the Disneyland Hotel. So, which means it's at the far end of downtown Disney. So it's not, kind of knowing that area, that there is space there for them to do this. And I don't see Anaheim. I shouldn't say I don't see Anaheim City fighting it, because I know that there's a ton more issues going on there.
There's bad blood.
Yeah. It's a very complex situation, but, I'm hopeful for this one. And I don't know if I would buy points there, but I would definitely be using my points there.
Because the points are going to hurt, right? I mean, I think we talked about this on Chad's show, didn't we? Maybe Chad did it on a recent episode, but it's going to be over 200 easily direct. I mean, I'm thinking like 225, between 225 and 250, I'm thinking. So that's going to hurt.
Well, what is Grand Californian right now direct? I haven't looked in a while.
Oh gosh, I don't know what it is. Direct, it's high. I think it's even high. Yeah, it might be even higher than that right now. I can pull it up real quick, but I know it's going pretty high. But yeah, I would think it's going to be very high. That would be my guess.
Yeah. But, yeah, I gotta wonder. The interesting thing about this is that right now Grand Californian is high because it's the only thing out there.
Yeah, exactly.
This is going to kind of normalize that a little, well.
It's 260 right now.
260. Whew. That's,
yeah, that hurts just to even read that. I mean, but a lot of the direct prices are pretty high. Grand Floridian's high. I mean, there's a lot of them that are pretty high right now. And I mean, Riviera's going up too. So, I mean, we're going to be over 200 before you know it on the currently on sale resorts. So, yeah. So, but it will be interesting to see if that changes anything with Grand Californian, if that changes the direct price there. But I don't think it will. It might, but it's not on sale anymore, right? So it might change some things in the resale market.
Yeah, that's more what I was thinking, is that you won't have quite the demand for it in the resale, because you're going to have
another option.
Yeah. Like people aren't going to be so desperate to buy resale, because I guess my hope is that with enough of these rooms, people will be able to get them reasonably at the 7-month mark.
Maybe. I mean, I wonder how much pent up demand there is for this, right? Is there?
Yeah, I guess with the Marvel campus coming and everything. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to see. It'll be interesting. It's still a long way off, right?
Yeah,
it's not even approved yet, and they haven't broke ground on it yet. So it's still proposed. So we're talking many years away at this point. So, but by the way, I just want to mention too that the amenities featured on the site are a Mickey-shaped spa and outdoor pool bar. But the ground floor will be an open air pass-through lounge. So all the guest services will probably be at the Disneyland Hotel, and this will just be kind of like a separate tower.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine by me.
Yeah. It works, right?
Yeah. Honestly, if you've been to Disneyland, when we stayed at the Grand Californian, it's so like downtown Disney is connected. Everything is in walking distance. It's so easy to go around and hit all the parks and food and everything. You know, if there's nothing specific to that DVC area, it's really not a big deal.
I'm assuming right now, by the way, Damon is probably like live blogging on the Facebook group right now, talking about how bored
not
he is.
even. I'm just so tired today. I'm just thinking to myself, like, dude, can we get to some stuff I want to talk about so I can go to bed?
We can, yeah, we could do. You want to talk about these listener questions that we got?
No. I want to talk about the FastPass changes to Hollywood Studio.
All right, well let's talk about those then.
We should talk about the listeners' questions. I can't skip.
We only got a couple.
I think that will segue us into the fast passes as well, or at least the first question will.
That it will.
Well, then why don't we go in reverse order then?
Right. Okay, there you go. So we have a nice transition. That would have been smart if I wrote it that way, wouldn't it?
It would have been.
If only.
So Space 2020, the rumor opening now is
that's not the order, Tom.
What?
Marie wants to know if any DVC members are planning on.
Oh, you want to go that way? Okay.
That's reverse. That's not I checked. Trevor, help me out here.
We start from the third one and work our way back up.
I didn't know you fully wanted to go. I thought we just wanted to remove the first one and make it last. I'm sorry. I wasn't.
That's okay.
I didn't hear the reverse part. All right, fine. So go ahead. Go read Marie's question.
So Marie, wow, I must be punchy because I'm just so tired. Anyway, who's going to Disney for the 50th anniversary, and will DVC do anything special? I'm going to have a tough time this whole episode.
I like this Damon though. This kind of Damon's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we plan on going because how could you not? I feel like if you don't go during the 50th anniversary for any other reason than just a monetary reason, it's just you're a bad Disney person. I don't know how else to put it. I'm sorry.
Call people out, Damon.
That's a very strong sentiment.
It's strong. Again, I gave people, listen, if it's not in the budgetary plans, that is a totally different story. But if you have it within your budget, how could you not go? It's the flipping 50th anniversary.
Yeah. That's a big one. They're going to do a lot for that.
I will say I went to the 60th at Disneyland and I loved it.
And that's not even the 50th. 50 is way bigger of a deal than 60.
It's true.
Okay.
Have you ever counted by 60s ever in your life? Is there a $60 bill? Like, there's a lot of that. I could go down this
for some weird reason, increments of 50 seem to be a bigger deal, right? So like Mickey's 90th birthday is less of a big deal than Mickey's 100th birthday that's going to come up in 9 years, whatever it is.
There's not a number you divide 100 by to get 60. That is important.
I'm glad you had that last part in because I haven't gotten technical on you there. But
no. I get it, right?
No, you're right. I'll say, like I said, I've done these kinds of celebrations, and I thought it was the greatest thing. So yeah, I'm absolutely.
What is the castle going to look like?
Yeah,
should be gold. The whole thing should just be gold, solid metal.
Maybe they should.
Gold.
Yeah, not like a projection rose gold, but physically metal gold.
Okay, I'm going to ruin this for you right now. Do you remember the cake castle?
I would love it.
Bring back the cake.
Cake is awesome.
No,
actually, I would be super impressed. I would love the cake.
Oh my gosh. That's a legendary thing, that cake castle.
But that's what I'm saying. If you saw that in person, that's the whole thing with the 50th anniversary. It's got to be something that like you go, oh, I saw that. Something they can't replicate easily.
Yep.
Well, to your point, I still remember the trip I took. I don't know if you guys remember when they put the giant Mickey magic wand with year 2000 over Spaceship Earth.
Oh, I have a tree ornament for that.
I went there in 99 and I still remember that trip because I remember that being over Spaceship Earth, you know?
Well, It's like the hat though, too, though, right? Yeah. The hat is another thing in Hollywood Studios MGM at that point, right? Like the hat. Like if you haven't seen the hat, like,
It's those kind of things you remember those kinds of things. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I think there were some things that came out about what the theme is going to look like, and it is gold. They're doing some gold stuff, but I don't know what they're going to do with the castle though. That'll be interesting to see. But I do think DVC will do some special things. I don't know how they couldn't, right? No, you don't think they will?
Yeah, I mean, by special things, do you mean special events, special pins, special food? Like, what do you, or all of the above?
I think all of the above. I think they'll do some special discounts. I think they'll do some special events. I think they'll do some member events that are themed to the 50th.
Maybe.
I'm probably throwing some fuel on the fire here, and I might start something terrible, but when was the last time that they did park ticket discounts?
2 years ago? Maybe.
Was it? I've never, since I joined DVC, I've only gotten annual pass discounts. I've never gotten,
when I say that the 2 years ago, they had the discount where you could have the platinum, it wasn't the platinum.
Right. Yeah. It was
where you could have the platinum annual pass for the gold price or whatever it was. That's what I meant by 2 years ago. But yes, you're right. Regular tickets, they haven't done that in a long time.
Exactly.
Or ever.
So,
I mean, they did it a long time ago, I think.
They used to. And that's what I'm wondering is for the 50th, if we could see some actual park ticket discounts.
I'm just saying they're not going to need to discount.
Yes, they're right? Exactly, because it's the 50th and there's going to be so many people wanting to go, the prices may go up.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, actually.
I could still see them doing it as a limited DVC thing, kind of like a Moonlight Magic thing.
Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah.
I do see some special parties around this. I think that would be cool if they did some things like that. And truthfully, a lot of the construction that's going on around Disney right now is to make the park, be really nice for the 50th, right?
Yeah.
Make all the parks be really nice for the 50th.
I'm just thinking about special food. I'm all, it's funny. I've been like all about food with Disney, yet I'm not really interested about this next thing we're going to talk about, but.
All right.
How are you not interested in this restaurant? I'm like so excited.
Everyone wants to go, but
let me ring the question first so that people know what we're talking about.
I think that's what we should do. No, we should start having discussions, and it's like Jeopardy. What is Brian asked about Space 2020? Yes.
So Space 220 is opening March 30th.
What's Space 220? Is it 2020? What does Tom put here?
You know what? I copy and pasted that. It is 220. That's my bad.
So what Tom, look at this. He's trying to correct himself. He's done a very poor job.
You're going to delete the 2 and make it Space 200?
No.
You almost did that. I was watching you. I can see what you're doing. You know that, right?
Yes, of course. It's 220. I just deleted the 0.
I saw you highlight that too.
Oh, that was an accident.
Yeah.
But listen.
When will they start taking reservations is the question.
Well, so first of all, we don't know that it's opening 3:30. One of the blogs posted that their sources said it was opening 3:30. So I don't know if that's really true or not. But
yeah, that's fair. I mean, we still don't have a firm opening date.
I don't think we can answer this, right?
And I mean, look at how the boarding passes, or not the boarding passes, how the fast passes came up for Smugglers Run. They didn't give you any warning or anything. They just one day said, "Here, they're available."
Tom, why is Trevor ruining the last part of the show like that?
Because
we'll talk about that. But so I look at the last restaurant they opened, the one that they opened at Epcot, the I think it's the Japanese restaurant, where one day it was open, it was closed, and they were still in construction, and all of a sudden they were like, "Hey, we're open." Now this one I think will get a little more notice, but I think as soon as they announce that the opening date, then reservations will be available within a couple days. Is what my guess would be. I would think.
Yeah,
I would agree.
But who knows when they're even going to announce it? They had a major issue there where the head chef quit like a month ago or 2 months ago. So they're probably still trying to find a new head chef.
So I guess the short answer is stalk the Disney Parks blog website, because that's when we're all going to find out about this.
Oh, I have I swear to you, and I'm a crazy person, I know, I have a Google News alert for Space 220, because the second that I find out that I can do reservations.
Did you put 2020 or 220 in your alert?
220.
Okay.
Like I said, wait, you know what? I don't think I did copy and paste this. I blame this accidentally on Brian. That's my fault. I probably write 2020. I did this at like 11 o'clock at night. I'm
Did
tired.
you just call Brian out like that?
Yeah, it was not Brian. It was me. I'm apologizing to Brian.
Oh, okay.
That was a fail on my part, because I've said this on the show before. I will never not call it 2020, because in my mind it should be 2020. I don't even know why. But I also think they're missing an opportunity here by not opening it on 220, but that's neither here nor there. I feel like it should open on 220.
Maybe it will. We don't know.
We don't know. We really don't know. It could still open on 220. And the last rumor I'd seen before this had said it was going to open on 220. So who knows, right? We don't know. Although you'd think they'd give you some notice of some sort. It's already February. If you're listening to this right now, it's February. So
honestly, but they don't need to give you any notice, because they know that the second that they open it, there's going to be a lineup.
That's true. A lot of people are excited about this. But Damon, you're not excited about this restaurant at all?
I don't know. Everyone wants to go. Like, everyone in my group wants to go. They're excited when we go on our trip. And, Thanksgiving. I'm sure I'll be there. But I don't know. Not really. I don't know why, but I'm just not.
Maybe once you see a menu and you start seeing some pictures of food, you'll get a little more. I think
that's what it is. Like, I have this feeling that the menu is going to be like just very like normal. Like, does that makes sense? Like, I know that's, yeah, I know, just normal. Like, again, I want tang flavored, whatever.
Freeze-dried ice cream.
Freeze-dried ice cream. I want, I want it to be something, weird's a bad word, but something different. And I don't have that feeling. I have this normal, classy feeling. It's the same reason, like, I'm not in love with, what's the place, Arts, whatever.
Homecoming.
Yeah, I mean, we go there every time because our friends love it, but I'm just like, give me something weird. Like that, again, like, I like to go to Disney and try new, and I feel like a better version of something, it's not always better, but like a better version of something that I could get around here is just not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something different. That's why I loved that holiday festival food, because it was stuff that I wouldn't normally get. Anyway, that's how Space 220 makes me feel. It's just going to be,
It's supposed to be like international food, though, and like I would think they would really play up the space theme. That's what I would think. But
what does that mean, though? Like, international food is such a broad.
Well, it means boring to me, is what that means.
That means it'll appeal to everyone, which means that they have to appeal to the lowest common denominator.
Yeah, I think what he means is the lowest common denominator in terms of palate, right? Like, I don't think we're being personal about it, but I would agree with that. And I think that's where I'm just not as excited about this. Look, I hope that the menu blows me away. I hope there's, some sort of space meatballs that, have, chopped peaches and
they're floating on the plate.
Exactly. They have some magnetic thing under them, and there's iron in them, and they can float. Dude, that would be awesome, right? Like, there we go.
I'm surprised you haven't gone to Tiffin's yet at Animal Kingdom, because that's like the most exotic food I think Disney has to offer.
No, see, I'm not. Again, I think that's the problem. I don't like Animal Kingdom food in general.
Yeah.
So it's not that it's not that I'm looking for exotic food, right? I'm looking for weird food.
This is weird food. Yeah.
I don't know.
They've got like a fish dish with like the whole fish.
I don't eat fish, by the way. So,
well, that's fair. Yeah, but okay.
But it's not even that. I'm misrepresenting what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something I would see on an episode of one of the cooking shows, like something different. Like, when they take, like, when Duff is like, hey, take this regular old, apple pie and make it something special, and they come up with all this like crazy stuff, and you're like, oh, I might actually try that, like, walnut caramel Dutch with strawberry apple pie. You're like, oh, that seems kind of interesting. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay. Well, that's fair.
I'm just saying.
I think we've had this, I think I've said this before, and I think you have the opposite opinion of me on this, Damon. I will deal
I don't even need to hear what it is, and I have to say that's probably true.
For me, I prioritize ambiance and the theme of the place over food. Only slightly, though. I don't want terrible food, don't get me wrong, but I'm not gonna go to Sci-Fi Dine-In and expect to eat a,
and I think that's why, but I think that's why I didn't care for either one of those places. I mean, again, look, the turkey over at the 50s diner was blah. You know, it was okay, but it didn't blow me away. And atmosphere, I could care less. Like, I don't talk about atmosphere when I come home. Like, yeah, the Sci-Fi Diner was great. I want to be like, yeah, you know what I ate? Like, I ate that apple pie with, you know, it was on fire and it had, you know, shrimp in it. Like, who knows, right? But again, I don't eat seafood, but just saying, like, that's kind of where I go with that sort of food. That's why I love the food festival so much, because they have just food that's so different. Like, that creme brulee, that miso creme brulee, like, I'm like, all right, that's something I got to get down with. Like, that was interesting.
You could talk about both though. We still talk about the shenanigans that happened to my sister-in-law at Whispering Canyon a couple years ago. You know, like there's certain things that you remember from those kinds of
But see, that's so over the top that it puts it in a different category than I think Space 2020 will be. Right, I'm gonna call it 2020 just for Tom now.
Yeah.
Space 220 will be. I think that's a whole different level of ambiance. So that's not ambiance, that's a show.
Now, here's a thought. As you were talking there, what if all that food that you enjoy so much from the like Food and Wine and everything,
was there?
What if that is the menu? What if they?
Well, then I'd be on board.
Yeah.
Oh,
because that would be the international menu that they're talking about.
I could definitely get on board with something like that. But again, I think, Trevor, I'm going to go with what you're kind of saying is that, so when you do it at the food festival, right, it's smaller amounts of food, number one. The menu is smaller, and it's just, I think it's just easier for them. I think if you tried to accomplish that in a restaurant, it would be a failure. But I love the idea.
I seem to remember a rumor earlier this year or earlier last year about them building a restaurant where they incorporated all the favorite dishes from Food and Wine.
There's a Hawaiian pork belly dish that's on point from Food and Wine that would be great.
I mean, maybe the thought is they do a seasonal menu and they rotate it so that like you said, you've got a very focused
That's interesting.
amount of items on the menu, but depending on when you go, you'll find different things.
But how does that fit into space?
Well, they only get certain things up to they only can send seasonal things up to the space station every once in a while. I don't know.
All right, Runaway Railway. We're done with this.
Supposedly when you walk in, there's going to be like a floating, rotating thing of produce that you walk into. That's
Can I
something.
eat it?
I don't know if it's going to be
like
real or
carrots?
not. I don't know if it's going to be real or not.
Is it some hybrid mix of a fruit I've never eaten before?
There you go.
A jackfruit and a strawberry?
See, that's the question. Do they go like alien type stuff? Did they try to make it like the Pandora food where it's like, ooh, you're on an alien
and I'll tell you, I
planet?
really like the Pandora food.
Yeah.
I don't like cheesecake, but that blueberry cheesecake, I have to get it every single time.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll just have to wait. I feel like we're going to find out fairly soon. They usually well ahead of time will release these things. But again, they lost their head chef a couple months ago. So somebody's going to come in now and not necessarily redo all the dishes, but, you know, put their stamp on what they want to do. Right. So.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the other thing now.
Yeah. Okay.
Trevor, you want to do this one since I think, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll do it.
I can do it.
Okay, are you doing it or am I doing it?
I'll do it. Fine.
Okay,
whatever. We're a mess tonight.
Yeah.
So will Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway use a virtual queue at opening? This is from Joe, by the way. And basically, how will that work, having two rides, having a virtual queue? I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but I tend to think that they won't do the virtual queue for Mickey and Minnie's because I just don't feel like that's I don't want to say it's not an e-ticket attraction where it's going to be huge lines and 10-hour waits. I don't think that's the case. It might be for the first day. Who knows? But it's not Rise of the Resistance, right? It's not Flight of Passage. It's going to be a cool ride that I want to go on every time.
I mean, it's still going to use
Mickey,
number one, it's got the nostalgia and classic feel. And two, I mean, isn't it going to use some pretty, cool technology or not?
It is. Yeah.
So why do you say that?
I would line up.
I think everything's going to get a virtual queue. I think everything going forward is going to get a virtual queue to start with.
You think that's the way they're going to go?
I do.
And then eventually roll them into FastPasses once it quiets down enough?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
But how do you do that when it's not a land? I mean, you can. Listen, I understand how you can, but right, it's a little different when it's a land with an opening versus a ride. That's the only thing that I kind of go, how do you pull that?
I mean, that's what they're doing now with Rise of the Resistance, though.
Yeah, I mean, the boarding groups are just that. They tell you to come to the ride at that time, and then they scan to make sure that you have a boarding pass. I could see them doing the same thing with Mickey's as far as...
No, it'd be a train ticket instead of a boarding pass.
Yeah. But then as far as running both of them at the same time, maybe this... Because they readjusted the tiers at Hollywood Studios. And I know that FastPass tiers don't have any bearing on this, but maybe they're going to do the same kind of thing where they say, you have to pick one.
That'll be interesting.
Ooh, a queue or a train ticket?
Yeah.
If they do it, and I'm not saying that they won't. I tend to sort of agree with you that they might do this going forward. We haven't seen them open a second ride after instituting this for the first time. So they might feel like it's going well enough that sure, let's do this again. It'll be interesting to see how they implement it with this ride.
They're gonna have to do it for Tron. I feel like they're gonna have to.
And for Guardians too, probably, right? That's gonna be...
I might actually refuse to go on that ride.
Out of no...
on principle.
On principle? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take your spot.
And I don't even like Guardians. I've never seen the movies anyway, so...
I'll take your spot.
It was supposed to be a lot cooler with the standing up and the launching and all that, so...
It's still supposed to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see how they handle this.
And see... I now I have to interrupt you because now I have to go back and talk about Ellen for a second. But what's interesting is I had no idea that, I didn't know why in my head I always thought Ellen was there on that ride.
Yes, she was.
Yeah, there was an animatronic of her.
There was an animatronic Ellen in the very beginning.
Was there, though?
Yeah. There was, yeah.
You never saw the episode of Ellen's show where they actually brought parts from the animatronic onto her set, or somebody...
Wasn't it fake, though? I think it was a fake.
Well, no, they got the skin from the animatronic and the clothes, and they just put it on a dummy, and it looked awful. It looked like a monster. But, yeah.
Yeah, she was right in the beginning. There was an animatronic of her, right when you go in the first room. So, once you start moving, anyway, I mean.
Yeah. So you were probably...
No. So hold on. That's not true. See, so now I had a Wikipedia you down. So originally the show had no Ellen or Bill Nye.
Well, no, originally.
No.
That's what I was saying.
No. Later, when Ellen came on board, then they had her in there. But no, originally it did not.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I was watching an episode of it prior to Ellen, when there was no Ellen.
Oh,
it was quite interesting.
Yeah, no, there was no Ellen in the beginning, no.
Yes, and I just feel like I have to give respect to the whole show.
I'm sure there'll be some sort of homage in there somewhere.
You think there's going to be an homage to Ellen in Guardians of the Galaxy?
There has to be. They always do that when they put a new ride in an old building. They always do some sort of homage.
What did they do for 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea?
Well, technically they didn't put. I mean, they put kind of a whole land over that ride.
Again, so I'm disproving your point.
I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but I would bet there's something in maybe The Little Mermaid. I don't know.
Maybe
it's possible. I don't know. It's they used to have. I know. Don't they have one of the
Cosmic
subs?
Rewind.
What's that?
I'm boycotting Cosmic Rewind.
Okay.
All right. No. Cool. Like I said, I'll gladly stand in line for you, Damon.
You won't. You have a virtual queue.
Well, I'll virtually stand there.
I'll virtually stand in line. Well, that brings up another question. So they're going to have to make it eventually. What if they have several virtual queues in different parks? They'll just have to make it. You can only do one virtual queue per day or something.
But I think that gets too crazy. Then you're just funneling people around in a weird way.
Yeah.
Well, but then if you think about it, if they had the virtual queues in each of the parks, the problem is the queues fill up so fast you have to be in the park when it opens. So you wouldn't be able to get queues across multiple parks anyway, because
that's true.
Unless having multiple ones made it so that they weren't filling up so quickly.
Okay, let's pretend
if it spread it out a little bit more. I'm saying,
is
if
it
you had to make a choice. So
if it was 1970, maybe.
Yeah.
I kind of could get on board with that though. Like there's one queue per park, and that's kind of what you do. Kind of like it's kind of like a FastPass system, really.
It takes it back to how the FastPass system was, right? Where you showed up the day of, you got your fast passes for that day. You weren't booking them 60 days out like we are now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, a fast pass is essentially a virtual queue, just, with a predetermined return.
But Trevor makes a valid point because you can't book them prior. That's what makes them different.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very much the old system.
Yeah, it's definitely similar in ways for sure. But I think the main reason they're doing these virtual queues is because of, the operational issues that they know they're going to have with this, right? If you start throwing fast passes on Rise of the Resistance up front, then you have all these people with fast passes. It breaks down for the day. I think I saw on the app today that they had some issues.
I don't know if it's necessarily
today.
all of that. I think it's the whole point of who wants to wait in line for 5 hours.
No. I think it's that too. I just think it's both things. Cause if you have all these fast passes, then you got to make up these fast passes somehow for these people. Or if you have people waiting in line for 10 hours, the ride breaks down for the rest of the day. You got to be like, hey, the 5 hours you waited, wasted time for you. So that's why the only reason I think they are not doing fast passes / standby right now. And they will eventually, obviously. They did with Smugglers Run, but it's going to take some time for sure. I don't think
Smugglers Run never had a virtual queue though.
No. Smugglers Run was just standby, but it didn't have FastPass. You're right. But, I do think that eventually they're going to have it. They have a line built for it. So
I think what would be great is if you virtual queued in the beginning and then as new attractions came, you did just, what in theory they could have done with Smugglers Run is, you started out virtual queue and then go to FastPass and then you start something new on virtual queue. That's how I would like the system to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that as new rides come in, they get virtual queued and the ride that was prior to it gets fast passed.
Yeah, and I don't think they needed really, I guess, to do virtual queue for Smugglers Run, right? Because I don't
think so.
It was pretty reliable and it moved a lot of people through, and
But that would be a good system.
They just had everybody line up through the land, which I guess, yeah, like you said, thinking about Mickey's Runaway Railway, you don't have a land there, and where it's located is like right outside
the center of everything.
Yeah, it's right in between Toy Story Land and Star Wars. So do you really want a whole bunch of people all shoved into that area again, waiting, 2-3+ hours for that ride?
If they're lucky, 2-3+ hours. I think it's going to, would see some 5 hour waits.
Right. But
the people that want to get in line in the beginning of the day and stay there till they ride it.
I do think it will be very popular to start out, for sure.
I think so. I think it's going to be, again, I'm not like bated breath waiting for it, but it will be interesting, I'm sure.
I very much think it's going to be another virtual queue. I can't see them wanting to have, again, they put all this work into Rise of the Resistance, and the whole point of the virtual queue is to control that crowd expectation, right? You don't want to have like you said, those 5+ hour waits. You don't want to have it, if it does break down, having to kick a bunch of people out of line. You want to control all of that. So being that, again, this is a brand new ride and it just happens to be right next to the other new ride, it still makes sense for them to virtual queue both of them. And maybe it'll be people, rushing to get both of them in the same day if they don't restrict it. Which I guess lends itself the question of, is it better to travel in at least pairs so that you can both go after each of them?
Well,
that's what I'm saying. I don't think you'll be able to. Could you imagine if they didn't let you had to pick one or the other? Would that even be possible? Like, would people just lose their mind?
Well, I'm already thinking about that for my October trip, is how would I manage that? Because I have to, have that conversation with my kid.
Well, you just got to do 2 Hollywood Studio days, right?
No.
Just in the morning. You just go for the morning, you ride the ride, and then you go elsewhere. Or, go elsewhere while you're waiting for your virtual queue boarding group or train ticket or whatever we're going to call it, to come up, right? I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
I find all this.
I'm trying to pretend I'm okay with that, but in my head, I'm not okay with that.
You're not okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that just might be what happens though. I mean, right? It just might be, who knows what's going to happen with this. And maybe they'll only have a virtual queue for the first couple weeks or the first month and then they'll feel comfortable doing FastPasses after that. I kind of subscribe to the theory that the only reason we don't know anything about what they're doing yet is they're not entirely sure it's going to be ready to open on March 4th. That's just my guess. It's already been delayed once, so.
All right, Tom, we need an ad.
Okay, we can do an ad then. Are you a frequent Disney visitor and want to save hundreds, even thousands on your next Disney trip? The DVC Rental Store wants to help you book your dream vacation for less. DVC members, great news for you too. Want to rent your points for some quick cash? DVC Rental Store wants to work with you, and they are currently renting out points at a record pace. For years, the DVC Rental Store has been helping guests stay at Disney Deluxe Resorts at an affordable price while also paying members the highest for their points. Want to learn more? Go to dvcrentalstore.com or call 1-855-DVC-RENT. That's 1-855-382-7368. Of course, let them know that Welcome Home sent you so that they know that you heard about them on this show. Again, that's dvcrentalstore.com, 1-855-DVC-RENT. Let them know that Welcome Home sent you their way. So check them out. Again, we always appreciate when you support the people that support us. And they're a great company to work with. They're one of the leading companies in DVC rentals. So again, members, check them out if you want to rent your points out or if you want to save a whole bunch of money. I actually just, before we determined that my in-laws were going to stay with us, we were looking at DVC Rental Store to rent a room for them, so they could stay at Saratoga with us and not pay rack rate, which was like $450, $500, whatever it was, for a room at Saratoga. And it was going to save them like a ton of money. It was going to be a couple $1,000s. So definitely check that out. dvcrentalstore.com.
I think if my parents come with us for Thanksgiving next year for a few days, we're going to do the same thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a great way to stay at DVC resorts for a lot cheaper. So
yeah. Dude, I'm too tired. I'm going to have to go. I think this is the problem with recording on a Friday night, so I'm going to speed round the rest of this stuff. Man, I'm tired on Friday.
Let's talk about the FastPass changes.
I can't even. I'm going to have to speed that too. I'm like zonking out over here. Do I care about the FastPass changes for Smugglers Run? It makes sense, but yeah, fine, great, whatever. Actually, really the biggest thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about the sporks, man, really. And you guys really
You want to talk about the sporks? We can talk about the sporks.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at the rest of the stuff, the alternatives for boarding groups. I don't really care about that.
You don't care about the Spider-Man thing?
I don't care. Well, that was the only other thing. Spider-Man thing and the sporks. That's all I really want to talk about. And then I'm going to go. So I'm going to just flip the script and we're talking about sporks and Stuntronics. Which one first?
Let's talk sporks. Let's talk about sporks.
All right. So Space Sporks are going to be, and the question is, why only in Disneyland? So Space Sporks are now on sale at Docking Bay 7.
They're at Disney World now too.
Oh, are they? Okay. In Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland, but Tom says they're also in Disney World. They are the ones that were being thefted all over the place. They're metal. They feature, why are you telling us they feature a watch before use sticker? Of course they should, right? And the pouch has a printed Star Wars word. What is it down the middle? Property of Docking Bay 7, blah, blah, blah. And they're $11. As somebody who has the Animator's palette butter thingy, which I paid for, unlike some people that just stole them and ruined it for everybody, I would say that I'd be down for getting some sporks.
So there's your market right there. I was wondering who was going to buy sporks, and Damon's going to buy.
Yeah, I'm going to buy sporks. See, because to me, that's the ultimate Disney thing. The Animator's palette butter scooper knifey thing is the best because you take it out, you go, wow, I want some butter on my bread. Oh, remember being on Disney Cruise Line? Yeah, that was awesome. It brings back the memory with just the sporks. So I'm down for that.
Well, I think obviously the reason that they did this was because people were stealing these. And
then people were mad when they took them away.
Yeah, and they were mad when they took them away. People were stealing them and selling them for outrageous prices on eBay. I don't remember what the last prices were, but they were way more than $11. I'll tell you that. And so Disney obviously took it away because of that. And I think it's funny that they put property of Docking Bay 7 on it. That's pretty funny. Makes it seem like you stole it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But my theory on this was that they had a bunch of inventory of this lying around and didn't know what to do with them after they pulled them and were just like, well, why don't we sell them?
No, I don't think so. You
don't think so?
No, I think somebody was like, it would be a really good idea.
Oh, I think after that, yes, they're going to continue producing them and then sell them. But I'm just saying, like, that was the original, the genesis of this idea, I think.
I think eBay was the genesis of this idea.
Oh, it's like, yeah, people will pay for the sporks, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was exactly it. They probably manufactured them thinking, yeah, this will be a cool little thing in the park. And then when they saw that people were, going in a frenzy over them, it's like, okay, fine, price tag.
Yeah, why not, right?
Yeah. Why wouldn't you, right?
I do think it's interesting that they're selling these. I wouldn't.
Can you buy them online too, or is it only at the park?
What's that?
Can you buy them online, or is it only at the park?
I actually don't know the answer to that. I don't think they're on Shop Disney.
I was going to say, you can't buy any of the other stuff from Galaxy's Edge online, can you?
I don't know.
That's a good question. I really haven't looked, to be totally honest. I'm not a big souvenir guy.
Why?
I don't know.
Could you just ruin everything you get? Is that what it is?
What's that?
Did you just ruin it all by opening it?
Exactly. I ruined it all by, by opening it and using it. I mean, but with Damon, is this a thing that you'd have to buy two of? One that you'd actually use and then one you would keep in the package? Or is this one acceptable?
So that's pretty much how I live my life these days. So when I find something I like, my wife is always like, why are you buying two of those? Well, what if I can't get it again when I want it? So yes, I would probably say I would buy a set of, let's see, there's 5 of us. I'd buy 7 of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I envision that you're going to eventually just have a second house where you just have an exact copy.
No, I have a 1,700 square foot attic is what I have.
There you go. You put all your stuff in there.
Yes.
Yeah. That'll fill up eventually. And it's
pretty big, man.
Just, have a second
house. It's pretty big.
You can just, you buy things for house A and then you just put the second one house B and save it for later.
I have a lot of that. I'll be honest with you. A lot of that exists in this house already, but a lot of it is in storage in the attic or the garage or the closets or things like that. But I have 2 of, if I like, here's a perfect example. So the headphones I have on for when we record the show, they're Monster End Tunes and I really like them. So I bought 3 pairs.
So just, yeah.
And then what happens is there's one that I'll use and then 2 have to stay in the box. And then if I ended up going through a set of the ones, then I'd still have to have 2 in spare. I'd always have to have 1 spare regardless. That's how I do. I like having that 1 spare. So yeah, 7 sporks for me.
Just in case it gets discontinued or you can't buy it.
Exactly.
So there's not one that you would keep to be on display that you would have to keep together. It's just so if it breaks or gets discontinued or
somebody steals it from my house, right? Maybe somebody steals it from my house.
That's true.
Yes.
I'm just imagining a dinner party at your house now where you're putting out the silverware and it's just, you just have a spork there. You have your Space Sporks.
Just one. Well, again, you have to remember, if I was having a dinner party in my house, I'd put a spork for myself and nobody else. And then that's how I know the rest of my sporks are safe.
Oh, okay.
It's like my Figment over there. I know he's safe.
Nothing's going to happen to your Figment.
He's in a box. Not only is he in a box, there's still bubble wrap around the box. So Figment's really safe.
Don't you want to see him?
I've seen pictures of him online. That's good enough for me.
You don't want to see him through the window?
No. He needs to be safe. He's safe where he is. He's got
to stay in there forever.
Exactly.
That's funny. Anything else about the spork? You want to talk about Spider-Man?
Let's talk about Spider-Man so I can go to bed.
And then Trevor and I can talk about the rest of this.
Yes.
So of those that haven't seen this is I think this is very cool.
It's going to fall on somebody. That's all I'm saying. I'm
assuming they're going to do this over, it's going to look like he's flying right above you. Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's really going to fly directly over people. But basically, Disney created a technology a couple of years ago, and there's YouTube videos on this. You can look it up, where there are animatronics that are not attached to anything, basically, and can do poses in midair. They basically shoot the thing through a slingshot, and then it can do poses in midair, and they're like stunt robots. And a lot of people wondered what the application for these were going to be. You could probably use them in movies, but also for shows in the parks. So it turns out Disney just announced that they're going to have Spider-Man basically, and it's one of these robots just flying over Avengers Campus, I guess randomly throughout the day. I don't know.
I think he's going to be over buildings, though. He's not going to fly over people, is my guess.
I would think he wouldn't. I would think he would go over backstage areas just to be careful, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, do you think this is going to
be fun if you got tackled by Spider-Man Stuntronic robot?
That'd be pretty funny. They're probably pretty heavy, I would think.
Well, that's probably true too. It might crush you. That wouldn't be good news.
It's a lawsuit waiting to happen right there.
Yeah.
But I mean, so he's doing like poses in midair and like tumbling, and it's pretty cool when you look at the video of it.
It is, but do I want to see that, or do I just want to see Spider-Man in the park dressed up, taking pictures with him? Like, what is the benefit here besides making me run into people that stop to look in the air?
Well, I mean, you'll still be able to meet Spider-Man, and this will just be another thing that they're doing, right? That's
going to stop people in the middle of the park so I can walk into the back of them.
You're just going to bump into people. Yeah, that's
kind of what I feel like.
This is going to be like a social media thing, though. Like, how many people are going to post this? This is going to be a thing, I feel like.
No, because he's going to do the same thing. It's not like it's anything like different after the first time. It's going to be
pretty cool to see in person, though, don't you think?
No, not really.
You're really not into this at all. I think it's awesome. I'm excited. I want to go to Disneyland just to see this, and I'm hoping they do something with this at Disney World. I have no idea what they would do it with. I was trying to think of what character they could do it with, but that would do
Peter Pan.
Acrobatic. Good.
Peter Pan flying through the air. Oh
yeah, that's good. Trevor, what do you think of this? I'm psyched about this. Damon seems kind of about it.
I think it's awesome. Kind of one of the comments that I made on our Facebook chat was I'm actually kind of waiting for the day when it fails, and not like.
That's what Damon was just saying too. Yeah. When it lands on somebody.
No, not when it lands on somebody, but
Trevor's looking for Spider-Man to take out the Juggernaut right in the middle of the park.
No, I'm thinking because it's a robot and it's, programmed to do certain movements in the air I just think I'm more amused at the idea of it, failing to do its movements, and you just kind of see a lifeless body flying through the air.
Trebuchet.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. Oh man. I mean, I can see that happening. It's certainly a possibility. I'm sure it's going to fail at some point, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is that these things always fail. Like, I shouldn't say they always fail, but there's always a moment where, it doesn't go the way it was supposed to. And I just think this one in particular will be rather amusing to watch.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I just think it's neat. And I think when they designed this, and I remember watching the original video on YouTube about it, I think everyone's immediate thought was, Avengers, like, Marvel, because it's very superhero-esque, the things they were having, these robots do. So, I think it's really interesting. It's one of those different things that makes you go to Disney, right? It's not something you're going to see really in any other park, which is kind of cool. So, I don't know. I'm psyched for it. I think it's really neat.
Cool. I think that was it for me. I think the rest of the
You're
stuff
going to go to bed? You're going to leave us?
Dude, I'm exhausted today. I don't know what it is. It's a Friday. We usually don't record. I have like Saturday and Sunday to kind of like rest up a little bit for the show.
The Super Bowl's throwing us off.
Super Bowl's throwing us up. Usually on a Friday, I mean, gosh, it's 8:40. I'm not going to lie. Most Fridays I'm sleeping by 8:30. Yeah, remember, like, I'll be up at 5:30 a.m. tomorrow for everybody else. So it's not like I'm sleeping until 11. Son's still got practice tomorrow, so. And then paintball. So it's going to be a long day for me regardless. But yeah, I think that was it. I mean, the Disneyland, parade stuff, it's until I'm there. What if I become I go to Disneyland and become like a huge fanboy?
I think that would be amazing.
I'm seriously hoping that you do, because yeah, I just went through this with a coworker, and he had never been to Disney before, and he's now absolutely in love with it. And I feel that you will kind of go down the same path.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
I'll be very interested that episode after you come back from that trip to hear what you think of Disneyland. I kind of can't wait for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a while away, so you got a little bit to wait, but it will definitely be interesting for sure. Well, I bid you guys adieu, and have a fun rest of the show, and I'm going to bed. I believe. Yeah. Well, till next episode.
Till next episode. Yeah. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks. So, speaking of Disneyland, by the way, Trevor, and I don't know if you've gone deep on Disney Plus, but I stumbled upon something the other day. I think it's called Seasons of Change. I have to look it up, but it's essentially Walt Disney's World of Color, and he's taking you through all of the things changing at Disneyland. So like they have on there footage from like the opening of It's a Small World, and some like, you know, celebrating anniversaries and stuff like that. It's really cool. It's a really neat like view of the past.
Wait, this isn't the Imagineering story, is it?
No, different. This is actual footage from like back in, this is just the Walt Disney specials.
Yeah. Like the ones that they used to run on like Sundays. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the footage looks incredible. I don't know if I'm assuming they, you know, redid it, but it looks fantastic. And it's really cool to see a lot of this stuff. And I'd seen clips from this before where, you know, they in various documentaries and Imagineering show and all sorts of places like that. But this is like Walt Disney narrating him going through things that are changing at Disneyland. And it's pretty cool. I'll have to look up the actual name of it because I don't remember the exact name, but it was Seasons of something. But it was definitely kind of a cool find of like old Disney stuff on Disney Plus. So, yeah, you should definitely check it out. Let me see if I can find it real quick here. Stalled, Trevor. Disneyland Around the Seasons. That's it.
Disneyland Around the Seasons. Okay, now I'm going to have to look this up when we're done here.
Yeah, it's Walt Disney talks about Disneyland in 1966. And it's only 51 minutes long, but it's literally just like old footage from Disneyland, and Walt Disney's narrating. It's super cool. If you like that old style, like Walt Disney, you know, presents stuff, like it's really neat. It's also just kind of cool to see, you know, 60 years ago, basically what the parks were like. So for those that don't know, and this was all over Facebook for quite a while here, Smugglers Run is now going to start offering FastPass Plus starting on February 19th, meaning that you can reserve FastPasses for February 19th and on. But I think the big news here is that the FastPass tiers have changed again at Hollywood Studios, which, you know, when we announced that the change, when we talked about on the show, when they changed them originally, I think it was like maybe back in August last year. I think that was when they announced that. If I remember correctly, I'm trying to remember when we actually talked about it, but it hasn't been that long. But I think we discussed how we felt like it was going to be very temporary that they were set up like they were, because they were set up awfully, right? The whole tier system was terrible.
It sucked when we were there in November. Absolutely. Yeah.
So for us too, right? So it was awful. So now I think the world is back in order again, right?
We're back to a more logical approach to this.
So essentially what we're going to have now is Smugglers Run is going to be tier 1, Slinky Dog Dash is tier 1, everything else tier 2, which is perfect.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, so I think this is I'm so glad that they've made this change finally. We always thought it was going to be temporary, right? So we never thought that this was going to be forever.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that they could have left it the way that it was. I mean, I think we said it back then that the whole reason for it was because they knew that a lot of big changes were coming to the park, and obviously they've gotten past the hump of it now. So, exactly. So I'm glad. The one that I'm actually kind of glad about is Toy Story Mania isn't in tier 1 anymore, because I remember it used to be. And for my wife, that's one of the few rides that she can do there. So,
oh really?
yeah. It's because like Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster, she doesn't do well on those. So I'm glad that that's at least one that we can book. And actually, same thing with Twilight or Tower of Terror is last trip I was planning to do it, and we ended up not doing it because the lineup was over an hour, and again, we couldn't get any fast passes for it. So.
Yeah, and I'm actually a little surprised that Toy Story's Midway Mania is not on there. So, I guess it's just Toy Story Mania now. I think they actually changed the name.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised it's not on there. I would have assumed that it is, that it would be, right? So.
But I think because Slinky Dog is kind of the big ride in Toy Story Land now.
Yeah.
It took its place. Which again,
No,
I'm okay with.
I think that makes total sense.
Yeah.
When do you think they're going to add Toy Story 4 characters into Toy Story Mania? Because there's an obvious tie-in from the Toy Story 4 characters, the ones that Key and Peele play. Like, you could easily put them into that ride, right? And the whole idea of that ride is so that they can upgrade it easily without having to shut it down, pretty much, right?
Yeah, it's true, because they would just have to add scenes with the two of them.
Yeah,
That's
right? I'm surprised they haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking about it. I was really originally going to say, because did you know that they released a Wii U version, or not Wii and Wii U version, like the
really?
Nintendo consoles? Yeah, you could get the Toy Story Mania games on video game consoles.
That's cool.
So,
are there different games in there, or is it all the same?
Actually, I don't remember. I played it years ago. I recall it's, I think the games are like 90% accurate. I think there's a few things that they don't do, but again, they released it as alongside when the ride came out. But if they go and update the ride, I mean, I guess nobody's really going to care because, you know, it's an old game. But yeah, I don't know, maybe.
I'm just surprised they've been doing it with Star Tours, where they've been updating it when the new movies come out, and they haven't been doing that with Toy Story.
That's true. Yeah. I guess if they didn't update it, then yeah, it becomes stale, right? And then yeah.
It seems like it'd be way easier to do Toy Story too, right? Like they don't have to, they have to program all these new movements into Star Tours, but they wouldn't have to do that with Toy Story Mania. Like they just add in a new game. I mean, it seems pretty straightforward, but I don't know. I'm sure they will eventually. I'm just surprised they haven't done it yet. But listen, these FastPass tiers are great. I'm psyched about it. I'm glad it happened before my trip. Makes me happy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, I'm not going till October, but I'm already thinking about how I'm going to do my fast passes for, it kind of played into the discussion about making more than one day at Hollywood Studios is that I would rather get a lot of these done in one day. And that's what fast passes allow for, obviously.
Well, and with the virtual queue, you kind of, in a way, assuming it's still around when you go, you're kind of getting 4 fast passes, right? I mean, in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the virtual queue is kind of a fast pass by a different name.
It's its own thing. And then Smugglers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Right. Until we find out what they're doing with Mickey and Minnie. Right. So,
yeah.
Which I'm assuming we'll find out soon.
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to say this earlier when Dane was here, but I think if we don't get the queue or the virtual queue, they'll probably just do no fast passes for it.
Just do standby only.
Yeah, they'll treat it the same as Smugglers Run is what I think. That for the first little while they won't offer fast passes at all until it calms down and they kind of have a good handle on how the ride's supposed to operate.
You know what? That's really interesting. I hadn't thought about them doing that, but it makes total sense that they could do it that way as opposed to doing the virtual queue. That makes complete sense that they would just do standby only. Yeah.
It wouldn't be ideal because then again, you're still in the same boat where I guess what it turns into is that, you know, you're still coming into the park, getting your boarding pass, but then everybody is the same as what we did for Smugglers Run is everybody's running up to the front of the park or to wherever the rope drop line is and then making a beeline for Mickey and Minnie's.
Yeah, that's true. That's interesting. I'm kind of leaning now towards them doing standby only. Now that you're saying that, that kind of makes sense to me. Yeah. And you know, plus those that ride should be pretty efficient. I'm assuming it's going to move a lot of people through pretty quickly. That would be my guess. But I don't know. We'll have to find out. But those trackless rides, assuming it's working correctly, it is a complicated technology. But assuming that it's working well, I think they have pretty high throughput. You know, they do pretty well as far as moving crowds. So.
I think it really comes down to more how good the loading and unloading is, right?
That's true. It'll be really interesting to find out how they do this because I think famously after Hagrid's opened and there was a 10-hour line, I seem to remember an Imagineer coming out and saying in an interview, if you have a 10-hour standby line, then you failed. at a shot at Universal, you know? So I'm sure they don't want that scenario, but as much as I'm excited about this, I don't know if the general Disney population is really excited about Minnie and Mickey's. I don't know.
I guess I haven't heard the same hype around it, but I mean, it's Mickey's first ride. How could you not be hyped?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I agree with you.
I don't know. It's kind of, it's so weird after Star Wars Land opened, right? It feels like that was like the high point, and you know they're never going to beat it, but there's all these other things, or I shouldn't say never. I mean, that's stupid. You mean,
well, because that was a whole land. We don't have any other lands being planned, right?
Not right now, but some of these rides though, it's not just about the land. Like these rides they're always trying to better themselves, but it's hard to imagine right now better than what we just got, right?
That's true. That's true. That's true. I don't know. We'll have to find out, right? I mean, you know, maybe they'll do some mind-blowing stuff in the Guardians ride. I mean, I think we pretty much know what to expect from Ratatouille because that exists already, right?
Yeah.
And we don't really know what to expect from Minnie and Mickey's because they've shown only little pieces of this, and they keep showing little pieces of it, but it's not. You really don't have any idea of what the full ride experience is going to look like at all.
Yeah.
Right?
You're right. It's cause they keep saying it's this 2.5D thing. So, it's like a cartoon, but not really a cartoon. Is that, I guess in my head, I keep going back to those scenes from Roger Rabbit when they were in Toontown.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
That's funny. I'm interested. I'm excited about it. We weren't even talking about that, but the next thing that we had on here was that Disney's actually doing some surveys about the boarding groups and, kind of polling guests to see if they prefer an alternative to the boarding groups. The survey basically asks, they can choose, which of the following, would you have preferred? And I guess this is people that have already done Rise of the Resistance, right? So which of the following would you preferred preferred choice in order to ride Rise of the Resistance? And so the options are virtual queue system that was currently used, a combination of limited fast passes and waiting in the standby line, similar to what we already have, or standby lines only. So I think that brings up an interesting question. Which do you prefer? Now, given I have not used the virtual queue system, but it makes sense to me. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a smart way to go about things. And I know some people seem to hate it. I get it. A lot of people don't want to get there at opening, and I understand that. But I guess for me, if you want to ride something bad enough, you're going to show up at opening for it, regardless, right? Even if they just had a standby line only, you're still going to have gigantic crowds that show up at 3:00 in the morning to line up for the thing. So you're still going to end up waiting in a 10-hour line anyway if you don't show up early. So if I see a lot of people that, have criticized it, and it's like, well, what are you going to do otherwise? You do the FastPass system, but then again, people are going to complain, oh, I couldn't get a FastPass for it. People already complain now they can't get Flight of Passage or Slinky, right?
Yeah.
So
I guess the way I look at that is, it does become more and more of a problem as the FastPass availability goes further and further out. Because like you said, with Flight of Passage and everything, you have to be on there, 30, 60 days ahead of time. Like you have to plan your day out a month ahead of time.
Yeah.
With the virtual queue, it, like I said before, it takes it back to kind of how it was before, where, you have to be in the park to get into the line to ride the ride. Further to that, I actually think I like the virtual queue system, but I think they should expand. It's not expand on it, but they should modify it so that they can adjust it so that it's not a situation where everybody is, everybody's crowded in there first thing in the morning to get fast passes for the entire day. Like it would be nice if they could find a way to do it so that, so many of them were released for like the morning, and then by the afternoon there's another set. So it's because
kind of like the backup boarding groups they have now, but maybe they just don't release those until later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I've also seen people talk about like a lottery system where you do it the night before, but then I think the problem becomes no-shows, right? They're trying to shove as many people as possible into this thing. So, having people that are in the park, you probably have a much higher confidence that those people are going to ride and not no-show you than the people that, if you did it the day before, I would think.
Yeah.
But I don't know. No, I don't disagree with that. I like trying to space them out throughout the day. I guess it's just like, when do you do it, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is that it's hard because somebody's always going to be trying to game that system or trying to get the advantage on it. So I guess how do you really do it so that it's fair for everybody? But then I guess fair for everybody also kind of means, you snooze, you lose, I guess.
Well, I don't think there is any fair for everybody, right? Yeah. Like no matter what system you have in place. So my sister's going tomorrow to ride Rise of the Resistance. Although she's not going to try tomorrow because they're getting in after park opening, right? But she said to me, she's like, oh, so what time should I get there? Like 4:00 in the morning. And I'm like, no, it was like getting there earlier does not matter. And she's like, well, that's not fair. It should be first come, first serve. And I'm like, well, that's not fair to you because you can get there at 4:00 in the morning. But what about people with kids, or what about people that are, just showing up like for that one day? What about, people that have special needs that maybe can't get there that early? I don't know. There's a lot of reasons why you can't do it that way. I don't think there's any way that's completely fair, but I do think what they're doing right now is as fair as it can be in my mind. But I don't know.
Yeah. I just, I know that it's fair, except again, in my head, I'm going, yeah, but I don't want to get up early to do that because I'm somebody that would go later in the day and do like an evening thing. And right now there's not an option for that. Like there's no way there.
I get that.
Yeah.
But I mean, with Flight of Passage, right? Let's say Flight of Passage, if you wanted to, get on that in the early days and you couldn't get a FastPass, you had to show up for rope drop. And even then it was going to be a long wait, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know. I don't know what the solution is here. I do think they're trying to do the best that they can here. And I do think they made the right decision to make it so that everybody could only get it once the park opened. Obviously there's like safety concerns and also costs. I mean, it costs Disney money to have people showing up at 4:00 in the morning to ride this thing. But it's one of those things where I think they're testing it and kind of doing different things with it and trying to figure out what the best way to do it is. But I don't know if there is any great way. I mean, obviously this ride is amazing from what everyone's saying, and everybody wants to ride it. So it's like, what do you do, right?
Mm.
It's like they can't stop people from coming, right?
Yeah.
And they don't want to. I would bet you, I mean, how much you want to bet that Hollywood Studios is gonna, this year is gonna be the second most attended Disney park?
You think so?
Oh yeah, I think it's going to jump past Epcot and Animal Kingdom, no problem. Or it's probably, I think it's third on the, well, I don't know what it's on the list as of.
Yeah, I was going to say Epcot for sure. Animal Kingdom, I still feel, I don't feel there's quite enough to do in Hollywood Studios still, but I don't know. Maybe that's just a personal thing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe once Minnie and Mickey's opens back up, they're pretty much, I feel like they're pretty much back to where they were pre-closure of everything, right. Back when they had the movie tour, I mean, the studio tour, and one of my favorite personal stuff. I love that show. I was so sad when that show went away. I absolutely love that show. I was really bummed that went away, but listen, it's, things have to go away. I'm just glad they didn't get rid of Muppets, but that's another story. That's going down for a 1-day refurbishment or a couple-day refurbishment. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's going down for, I don't remember if it was 1 day or it might have been like a week or something like that, but, they gotta fix some stuff, I guess, which makes sense. That show is old as can be. They really should update the movie too. The movie is pretty old at this point.
Yeah.
Still great. Don't get me wrong. I still enjoy it, but.
Yeah, but the 3D animation thing in it was, yeah. It's not aging well.
It's not aging well. But I do love it. Listen, I will always go there.
Oh yeah.
When we went there in October, like a lot of the seats were broken. Some of the effects weren't working. Like it really needed to be, some, like the thing at the end where the Swedish chef blows the whole thing up, like some of the walls were disappearing. I even think the cannon didn't even come out. I think it was just an explosion.
Oh really?
Nothing.
Cause that was all working when we went on it in November, and maybe all those effects were working. Then, yeah, it sounds like it just needs some TLC, but, I guess speaking of things going away.
Look at that transition. That was professional.
So the Pirates League in Magic Kingdom is closing in the summer, which I don't know how I feel about this because, I asked my son if he wanted to do the Pirates League. So basically the Pirates League is like the equivalent of Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, but it's, getting your kids dressed up like, it's pirate themed. But, I asked my kid if he wanted to do it once and he was like, no, like he looked at it and he wasn't too interested. And I honestly can't say, I guess for the amount of times that I've seen, little girls done up like princesses versus little boys walking around dressed up as pirates, you don't see the pirates. Yeah. Like it just was not popular. And so it kind of makes sense that they're closing it. But, the thing to note is that it's, I guess they're still going to offer some of these things at one of the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique locations.
Yeah, so there's still some options there because they made Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique bigger. They had just expanded it, so maybe they did that with this in mind. They're trying to consolidate a little bit and not have a specific location just for this, right? I guess I don't know, but you're right. You don't really see a lot of kids walking around as pirates. You just don't. It's not a popular thing. And obviously this is something that Disney charges money for. So if it was making them money and popular, they would keep it. Right? Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly it. Is if they had lineups for it, it would still be there. But yeah, I can count. I think every time we've gotten off of Pirates, like you walk by and there's a room, or there's it's not a window, it's like a cage, and you're supposed to see, kids on the other side doing the Pirates League stuff. And every single time we've gotten off of Pirates, you walk by and I always see somebody looking in there and it's just empty chairs.
Yeah, so you're totally right about that. I mean, it's always sad when they discontinue stuff, but you have to understand when something's not popular, why keep it? It just doesn't make any sense. I understand from a business perspective why they wouldn't keep it, but, and I'm glad that they're going to still have options for boys at Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. That's good that they still have that option available. If you want to do it, you just do it in a different location.
And I guess hopefully that means that space in Pirates will be used for something else.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So what do they use that space for now? Right. So I guess we'll have to see and find out and wait. It's interesting that they're giving a ton of advance notice on this because it's not going out until July 27th, 2020. So you've got 5 whole months here to accommodate that. If you really badly have to get this in before it ends, now you have 5 months to get that done. So
yeah, I think it's more that, people are scheduling vacations, and anybody that really wants to do this, giving them fair warning on it versus shutting it down like a week before a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair.
That's nice. Yeah. It's nice of them to do that. So, I mean, like I said, it's sad to see it go, but I understand.
Yeah.
So I think the only other thing we had on here was, the new parade that they're doing at Disneyland. The Magic Happens, and they've released some pictures of what so I guess concept art of what this parade's going to look like. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, I actually haven't looked at these floats yet. Just give me a sec.
You got to take a look at it. Yeah. I gave you pictures and everything. They're really neat.
I like that Sword in the Stone one. That's
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, mostly because you don't see Sword in the Stone stuff all that often, right?
Other than the Sword in the Stone in the middle of Fantasyland.
You don't you don't actually see the characters. You don't see the characters, and you don't, other than the actual stone being there. So
Merlin hasn't been around. He used to walk around the park in Disneyland. Oh, yeah. He hasn't been around for years.
Well, and kind of what it seems like, just looking at this, some of it looks like they're doing some lesser known stuff in this parade, It's, they have Princess and the Frog, which Princess and the Frog is the main part of the stage show at Disney World. But, and I'm trying to think, do they have a float in
Tiana has her own meet and greets and stuff in New Orleans Square.
She does.
Yeah.
She does, but do they have a float in the 3 o'clock parade, whose name is escaping me? Festival of Fantasy, at Disney World. I'm trying to remember if they have a float or not.
No, but what have I seen her?
They had that show in front of the castle.
I've seen her on a float, and I can't. Was it Paint the Night? Maybe it was Paint the Night that I saw Tiana on. I know I've seen her on a float, but I can't remember which one.
There's somewhere. She's existed somewhere. I know she has.
Actually, I think it was her and Naveen were in Paint the Night, but it was part of a larger princess float. They didn't have their own float. I hope I'm not misremembering that.
Now I can't remember the name of the show that happens in front of the castle seemingly every 45 minutes during the day at Disney World. The heck is the name of that show?
Oh gosh. Now, okay, you've done it, because now I can't remember. It's not Festival of Fantasy. It's okay.
Royal Friendship Fair?
I think no.
I think it is. I swear.
You got me.
Now we're just Googling. Boom. Win for me.
Mickey's Royal Friendship. Okay.
Mickey's Royal Friendship Fair.
Okay. All right. You got that one.
Look at me remembering stuff. So we actually watched that show 3 times when we were there in October, because we kept catching it and my daughter was just transfixed by it. So it was all right, guess we have to stop and watch this. It's fine. But I like it. It's got some catchy songs to it, but they have a big part in that. Tiana and Naveen are a big part of that. They have a whole segment in there. And I like that they're doing some of these things for, I don't want to say the less popular ones, but Tangled is not viewed as popular as some of the other ones. I think, even though Tangled's a great movie, but there's a whole Tangled float in. You're right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's nice that they have these things in the parades.
Yeah, I guess, okay. Maybe it depends on where you are, because at least for me, Tangled it was popular when it came out, and at least in my circle of friends, it still gets talked about. So I don't know.
No, I agree with you. I think Tangled is great. I just don't, it's not as popular as Frozen, let's say,
Oh, well, okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think that's a fair comparison.
Not a fair comparison.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I watched Tangled today with my daughter that has the flu. So we've gotten into this thing now with Disney Plus where I'll be like, do you want to watch Mulan? No. You know how toddlers are? Mm-hmm. They just kind of say no to everything. So I literally will go through the entire list of Disney animated movies, and she will say no to every single one of them. I'm like, all right, guess we're watching Tangled. I'll just pick something and then she'll watch it anyway. So
you need to be prepared that she'll latch onto one show and you're going to watch it about 500 times.
Well, usually that's Frozen, but lately she hasn't wanted to watch Frozen. Usually she's transfixed by Frozen, but I don't know. Lately, Frozen has not been her favorite. Actually, Toy Story has been the one she wants to watch lately, which I'm fine with. But she wants to watch Toy Story all the time. So, which is great. Don't get me wrong, because I always enjoy watching Toy Story. But the fourth one is, I think it's going to be on Disney Plus fairly soon.
Yeah.
But she's obsessed with Toy Story. She absolutely loves Toy Story. So which is cool. But now that she's obsessed with Frozen, I'm excited to take her to meet Anna and Elsa. We haven't done this yet, when we go again. So we'll see if she freaks out or if she's into it. But anyway, anything else you want to say about this parade, or should we just, go ahead and wrap this up?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything else to say about it, because I Honestly, the daytime parades don't really do a lot for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm more of a nighttime parade guy.
I will watch Festival of Fantasy any day. I love that. That's a great parade.
See, I'm running away from the hub as fast as I can when it's coming.
When it's coming around?
Yeah.
Because you know the lines are going to be short for the rides? Is that?
Yeah, I know we can get on rides quicker, and I also know that it's impossible to get through the hub because everybody stops dead to watch the show.
That's very true.
Yeah.
It's very true. Listen, I the last time when we were there, I put my daughter on my shoulders and she was waving at all the characters as they went by, and it was possibly the cutest thing ever. It was adorable. My sister took video of it, but I'm also like in this video, she's waving and you just see me sweating profusely cause it's hot out and she's sitting on my shoulders. But if you just pay attention to my daughter in the video, it's adorable because she's waving at Mickey and saying bye, bye, bye when they're going by. It's super, super cute. But, I like that parade before my daughter came around, but, it's even cooler to see her enjoy it too. So. All right. So let's wrap up, Trevor, unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
No, I think we've covered it all. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So yeah, let's, sorry.
Did you lose your place?
No, my phone is buzzing at me. So sorry, that distracted me. Anyway. Yeah. So as usual, if you guys have comments, questions, things you want to talk to us about, you can always email us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from you guys. We love talking back and forth with you guys. We try to answer your questions as best we can. Obviously, we don't know everything, but we'll at least take a shot at it. If you want to get a hold of us on social media, you can find us on Facebook as Welcome Home Podcast. If you have Twitter, it's Welcome Home Pod, and Instagram is Welcome Home Pics. Those both mirror from Facebook. And if you like talking to us on Welcome Home Podcast, we also have the Facebook group, the Welcome Home Disney Waitlist is what it's called now. I think that's what Damon set it to. So
that's what Damon named it to.
Yeah. So come join us in the waitlist, and we've had lots of great discussions in there. Everyone's been really cool. It's a great community. Just a bunch of people that really like Disney. And if you guys actually want to get some merchandise from us, you can go to store.welcomehomepodcast.com. Go check out the mugs, check out magnets. We got t-shirts. So hopefully
stickers.
Yeah. Hopefully you can find something there that you like. And as usual, if you guys found us on iTunes or Google Play or Spotify or any of those, we do appreciate reviews. Helps us, figure out what you guys like and what you don't like, and also helps make the podcast a little more visible because those reviews help increase other people finding the podcast.
Yeah, and don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, just about any place you can find podcasts. You can find us, search for Welcome Home, look for the one that says DVC and Disney, and you can find us on there. By the way, I want to go back to our group thing for a second really quickly here. I've seen a couple people reach out to us and say, hey, this would be a good question for the group. Just ask questions, man. This is a discussion forum. We're not approving posts. You go in that group and ask some questions. Don't be scared to do it. Ask some questions, get some discussion started, right?
Yeah, totally. We love seeing you guys start discussions too, because there's things that we don't think about that, we want to hear your perspective on Disney as well.
Exactly. So, and of course, just a reminder, as always, to our listeners, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, any of and all opinions we express on this show are our own. So please call a DVC representative or a cast member for anything we talked about on the show today to confirm that. Big thank you to DVC Rental Store for sponsoring this episode. Please support the folks that support us. They're a great sponsor. They've been with us for a little while now, and we enjoy working with them. So, and if you do use them, make sure you mention that Welcome Home sent you. And of course, join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Wall, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
We do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl.